My name is Lori Edberg, and I'm your host for Behind the Curtains. Today we have Bonnie Fogel, the Executive Director of Imagination Stage, joining us. Welcome, Bonnie.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. I read a lot about Imagination Stage, and I just want you to tell me the history, because it's really an interesting story how this Performing Arts Center came about.
Well, when you say the history, we're 35 years old. So I'll have to do something in a nutshell.
Sure.
So we were founded by me, the founder, in 1979, and we were working out of a small elementary school, Whittier Woods, next to Whitman High School in Montgomery County, Bethesda. Just really doing something for the neighborhood children. And it was really a very selfish act. I wanted something for my children. And it just seemed that more and more children and parents wanted it. And so we just kept going. And so today we're serving 110,000 children and their families a year. Yeah.
So it's 17 kids, is that right, that started in the first
I can't
class?
even remember. You know, when we started, we didn't know what we were starting. We were just doing something in the neighborhood. And we weren't counting, you know.
Right.
I thought it was maybe 16, maybe 17. And they were all ages. We went from my daughter, who I think was 7 at the time, and my son, who was 4, all the way up to 17. They were all in the same group. Nobody was saying, oh, my child is more socially developed than that child and they shouldn't be in together. I mean, you know, it's 35 years ago.
They were just happy to have something.
They were delighted to have something.
There was a talent show, a variety show, which told you that...
I was working, not working, I was volunteering at Burning Tree Elementary School at the time in the International Parents Club. And with me there, co-producing that little society, was a woman, Marcia Smith, who was a professional actress, or she had been. I was a writer. And we heard that the teachers wanted the children to have a talent show, but they didn't want to do it. And we at the same time had both been talking about, oh, isn't it terrible, there's not enough arts for the children. And so we said, okay, we'll do that. And we did. And of the 360 children at Burning Tree Elementary School, I think there were 300 in the talent show.
Amazing,
and we took everyone, from the child who was playing Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star with one finger and had to have her cardigan just so, to the child that was doing Rachmaninoff, 7th, and everything in between. We moved the whole thing up to Pyle. It went on for 3 hours. And at the end of it, we said, you know, people really want this. It's not just you and I and what we want for our children. Kids want to be on stage. They want to be performing. They want to be enjoying their creativity. Let's just do a few classes.
And look what happened.
I know.
Now, Imagination Stage, where everyone knows that's a place to go for children's theater.
Yes.
In fact, I know that you just won some Helen Hayes Awards.
We did.
And that was for?
Well, that was a year ago for Lion, Witch and the Wardrobe, a summer show, actually 2 years ago, but the prizes were last year. That was a co-production with the Washington Ballet, and it was simultaneous dance and theater, very seamlessly integrated into this extraordinary classic production, and it really was brilliant. Our artistic director, Janet Stanford, who co-directs Imagination Stage with me, this was truly her finest hour. And she and Septime Weber of the Washington Ballet did a wonderful job. And also Kate Breyer, who's our associate director. They all worked together, and it was phenomenal. So yes, it was very exciting for us to get. Those were our first Helen Hayes Awards.
And that's very important.
It is the mark in the Washington area. If you want to be respected and seen by your peers to be at the top, that's what you hope to achieve.
And when you did start, just going back again, I know in your own childhood you had the arts around you.
Right.
And so that's what you felt was sort of missing in Bethesda all the way back in 1979,
right.
And you wanted to bring that to your own family and community?
Absolutely right. And, the mission has never changed in 35 years. In fact, in many ways, we need the arts more than we did then, because there are so many passive forms of engagement for a child today. And there's less, if it's humanly possible to imagine, there's probably less opportunities for arts engagement in the schools today than there were 35 years ago.
Right, because of budget cuts, because of...
I think cultural changes and need to perceived need to be meeting standards.
Right.
I don't know. There's all kinds of reasons, but when I grew up, the arts were very much an essential part of the life of my school, of my village, wherever I was living. The arts were enormously integral to the life. I remember the milkman was part of the Gilbert and Sullivan troupe, and he'd be humming his ditties as he delivered the milk. I mean, this was just the way life was. And we all remember, in this country, hearing about grandparents perhaps who had musical evenings. The community would come together, they would play instruments, they would play games, they would talk. That was much more the norm in England, growing up. And I think, obviously it's a great shame that we're not doing that anymore.
You're right. People used to play piano and invite their neighbors
Absolutely.
in, and it would be a beautiful evening.
Yeah.
And now, well, technology is here, and how
Right.
does that affect the arts and children's creativity?
Right.
In your opinion?
Two ways. For the most part, I think it's all about passive engagement with a game. There are some good things about technology. The way technology is today, anybody can be an artist. For instance, we have a film department, a digital department at Imagination Stage, where we're teaching filmmaking, videography, this kind of thing. And in the older days of 5 years ago, or maybe 10 years ago, you had to buy very expensive cameras to have this kind of program. In fact, when we moved into Imagination Stage, Discovery paid for the cameras in our digital studio. Today, every child's got an iPod, and you can make pretty good little movies on an iPod. There's so many things that you can do today with technology that give you, as a creative person, the ability to make art. So we can't completely knock technology, not at all. But as parents and as people who care about children, we have to find that balance.
You're right. I mean, it does level the playing field,
Yes.
having technology. And in some ways, it can be a great source of creativity.
It is.
But still,
Yeah.
you want people and kids to see live performances.
Absolutely, because there's something that happens when you're in a live performance that doesn't happen anywhere else. It certainly doesn't happen when you're on a digital device. It doesn't happen in the movies, although it happens a bit in the movies. But when you're actually in a theater with actors on stage, or if you're at a symphony, or if you're at a dance concert, you're really feeling the life passion of those people who are on the stage. You are truly engaged in that, and they feel it, so it's a very different experience.
And the energy from the audience as
Yes,
well.
absolutely.
Your own community for
Yeah.
2 hours sharing this special experience.
Yes. Yeah.
So why else? Well, I want to talk to you about the Deaf Access Program a bit, because I think this was probably a very new thing when you first started it.
Absolutely.
And what made you start it?
It's what I call our first evolution. We have had 4 evolutions in the history of Imagination Stage, and they're roughly contiguous to the decades of our existence. So in the first decade, we started, we were simply a place where children came to be in classes or to enjoy a performance opportunity. And I don't really know where this started. Some little kernel in the brain looking around and saying, there's a whole group of children who are not able to participate because people don't know how to help them enjoy what a child who has no disabilities traditionally enjoys, or to offer them a pathway to traditional ways of socializing or whatever. And so started looking around and found a young woman whose passion it was to work with children with physical and developmental disabilities. And I said, okay, we'd love you to come on staff. Go and find out how you do it. And she came back and said, she was a very, very bright woman. She's now, her name's Sally Bailey, she's now head of the Therapeutic Disabilities Program, National Association. And she came back and she said, I've looked, there's nothing.
Wow.
And so we said, okay, well, one of the things we clearly have to do is write the book. And she did write the book, and it was called Wings to Fly, and it's one of the main textbooks in universities now, which talk about how you make the arts accessible to children with physical and cognitive disabilities. Well, what we didn't realize was that deaf families didn't really fit into either of those categories, and they really didn't want to be included in that way. They had different needs. So this all came to light when a parent knocked on our door and said, you know, my daughter would love to be an actress and participate, but she's deaf, and I haven't been able to find anywhere who would bring her in and let her be in a summer program. So one of our young associates, Lisa Agalati, said, I can do that. I mean, this is the history and the wonder of Imagination Stage. There's always someone on staff who can do that. And she, of her own volition, went and learned cued English. This young lady used cued English, not sign language. She learned it. She worked with that young girl, name was Kim Smith, for the summer.
Wow.
She was totally included in the program. She had the most wonderful time. Well, both of them did, actually. And then Lisa formed the Deaf Access Program as a result of that summer experience. And the Deaf Access Program was a very solid part of Imagination Stage for probably 15 years. We got many national grants for it. And when we moved up to White Flint and had a theater there, we put on really very excellent shows there at White Flint by our Deaf Access Company. And that was a group of teenagers, some who were deaf, or the children of deaf adults, and some who were hearing, but wanted to be included.
Bonnie, that's just amazing that you took that risk and you were able to do something that no one else has done before.
Right.
We have to take a break, but we will be right back with Miss Bonnie Fogel.
Mom, can we get some ice cream?
Please, Mom, please.
No, we're having dinner soon.
Please.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of children in foster care who will take you just as you are.
In the small town of Elmira, New York, a boy was born into an all-American family. The odds of him achieving his dream in the fashion industry? 1 in 23 million. The odds of having a child diagnosed with autism? 1 in 88. I am Tommy Hilfiger, and my family is affected by autism. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs.
For those dealing with the daily struggles of caring for a loved one, we hear you. That's why AARP created a community with experts and other caregivers to help us better care for ourselves and the ones we love.
Getting closer to nature can get you closer to your family. Go to discovertheforest.org.
Welcome back to Behind the Curtains. Returning with us, it's a fabulous Bonnie Fogel. Welcome
Fabulous.
back.
Thank
Yes,
you.
I think you are.
Thank you.
Really, you did not have any experience in managing an arts organization. You just
No,
did it.
I
How is that
did.
possible?
I have no idea. I have
mean,
no
it's-
idea.
And it's thriving.
We do laugh about it because, as I said, when we started, it was just, it was a neighborhood thing. And and then after about 8 years, my original partner, my founding partner, left. And I was really stuck because I don't have a background in theater either, really, nothing. And so a few board members came and said, we have faith in you and we think you can hold this together. we'll do whatever. And they helped put together a business plan, and they were supportive, and it's always been like that. Every advance of our organization has been a combination of the leadership staff and the board. And not the entire board,
Right.
but 2 or 3 people on the board who have said, I believe in you. Have you thought about this? Aim for it. Have confidence you can do it. Why not? You know, they've always been there. And because I think that's one of the problems with running a nonprofit. We're so used to having nothing that we don't necessarily have the confidence that we can aspire. And so you need that support. And the board members, we have had some extraordinary board members and board leadership over the years. They have really been behind us and made it happen.
Has it been the same board over
No,
the
no,
years?
no.
or
We
just
have a very strict board policy.
term limits?
Absolutely. And it's worked very well. Yeah.
And what are some of your favorite performances? Can you even pick them? They must be all sort of your babies.
Well, you know, there's 2 sides to Imagination Stage. There's the theater side, which is very visible. And certainly my favorite performance of all time is The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, because it combines so many things that I love. It is a classic. It's deeply spiritual, beautiful language, and it was extraordinarily executed. And this very clever co-production with the Washington Ballet, where you had the 4 main actors who are the children in the story, and they had a dance equivalent. So sometimes the actor would be talking, and sometimes the dancer would be dancing. It was as if the dancer was the soul of the actor and showed the emotion. It was extraordinary. This is probably my favorite. But on the other side, 50% of our business is our classes. And so we have about 5,000 children a year taking classes or having performance opportunities at Imagination Stage. And this is from age 1 all the way through 21 for children with disabilities. We go up to age 21 because that's the cutoff in the school system. And we have classes at Imagination Stage. We have classes in schools throughout the tri-state region. We also do professional development in some schools. The other thing we're doing that's very interesting and is very new and very edgy, we have theater now for very young children. So instead of coming into the theater, the Lerner Theater was the most extraordinarily beautiful 400-seat theater donated by the Lerner family back when we came in. We also have a theater for very young children where the children sit in a circle, and there are 2 actors in the center of the circle who are telling the story. And the children are very engaged. It goes for maybe 2 minutes at a time before the children are pulled in again. Highly participatory, highly energetic. The children have props so they can contribute to the story. That is something that, an idea that we brought back from Europe. We saw it in Europe. And we were the first people to do that in this country. Now other people are catching on to it, but there's always something new and exciting. But my point is, it's not all about what's happening on the main stage, the Lerner Theater. There's extraordinary work happening in the, with the children and the education program. Our education program is considered by our peers in theater education across the country as the model for how you teach theater, the comprehensiveness of our pedagogy, the training we put all our staff through who are teaching the classes, the consistency of the classes, and of course the way we include children with disabilities, because we say that we don't have a disability and access or an access and inclusion program, we have a philosophy of inclusion. So that philosophy cuts across all our classes, and there's a lot of training that goes into making sure that the teachers know how to include. And of course the interesting thing is that we all need including in some way. Some of us speak more than others, some are shy, have to be brought out, some have to be tamped down. You know, so the fact that our teachers are so caring and attuned to every child's needs, I think makes our programs quite remarkable, our education programs.
I mean, Imagination Stage is really a role model.
Yeah, absolutely,
It's just
I agree.
incredible.
Yeah.
And tell me about the professional development that you are doing at
We
Imagination
offer
Stage.
professional development in schools or for school systems. We will go and teach how to include children with disabilities in your theater program, or how to engage them more in your school education programs. Lots of ways you can do that are theatrical in nature. We also do integrated arts professional development, where you teach a teacher how to teach the life history of a butterfly using the arts to do that.
That's very interesting.
Using the multiple intelligences. And we're also teaching teachers how to nurture the creativity and build the creative capacity of children, because that is more and more essential.
Because kids, especially kids with dyslexia, they learn better through creativity.
Visual. They have to do
sort
visual.
Of at the lab school or
Yeah.
another school. It
absolutely.
seems a perfect way to learn.
Well, that's the
hands-on.
thing that's so great about theater is you can use it to solve life's problems.
You can.
It's not just something you go and do to enjoy yourself. It is that too, but you can really use it to engage people who can't be easily engaged, whether they're children who don't have the language because they're new in this country, whether they're children who may not have the language because they have developmental disabilities or delays. I believe that every problem, if you look at it creatively and think about how you can use theater, it might be teen drug warfare, I don't know,
Right.
all kinds of things. We just need to use this as a county. We need to see the value of the arts and really use the arts to help solve our problems.
You're right. It's not an extra. It's
No.
really something that helps pull us all forward, especially when you think about the economy and how tourism and restaurants and small businesses, cafes, the gift shop, they
Right.
all can benefit
Yeah.
from having arts in our community.
Yeah.
How has the business community helped Imagination Stage?
Well, we're in Bethesda, of course, but we're on the other side of Bethesda. We're not in the Barnes & Noble where everything is very, I like to think we're on the West Bank, and we're gritty and we're theatrical and we're edgy, bohemian. There's no question but the Bethesda Chamber of Commerce and the Bethesda Urban Partnership, they really truly recognize our value. We're a flagship organization for the Woodmont Triangle. We bring 110,000 people a year to that part of Bethesda. All around us, small shops have gathered up, have started growing, that are selling to parents and children. And there are other small music studios, dance studios that have all come around where we are now. And also the restaurants know when our curtain.
Of course, they must get so many
Yes,
more patrons.
Absolutely, yeah. So we're really an economic stimulus, there's no question. All the arts are.
And
Yeah.
what is the future for Imagination Stage?
I'm glad you asked, because I just happen to have the future with me. This is called the 2020 Evolution, a Creative Solution. And basically what this is saying is there's a problem in this country. Children are losing creativity. There's a test called the Torrance test, which is used throughout the world that measures creativity. Interestingly, it isn't used in this region, but we are accredited to produce the Torrance test, to give it, to score it. And so there's this Torrance test anyway. And since 1990, it started in the 1960s. Since 1990, children's creativity has been declining as captured by this Torrance test. Remarkably declining, significantly declining, mostly in elementary school age children. At the same time, there was a big article about this in Newsweek in 2012. About the same time, there was a survey done of IBM executives. I think there were 1,300 of them. And they said that the value that they looked for when hiring their management level people was creativity. Well, where are they going to get it from?
Yeah,
Our
that's a problem.
children are less and less creative, and yet that is the 21st century work skill that is of most significance and importance to the workforce. So we're saying, America, there's a problem. Children are losing creativity. We are in the creativity business. We've been in the business for 35 years. We are going to do our best to work against that problem. We've got 6 new initiatives that we're pursuing that are all informed by the desire to bring the arts to more children. Whether it's by digital means, whether it's by expanding our area of operations, whether it's by going to more conferences and talking about the importance of theater and the arts, whether it's by publishing. We just are going to up our game and do a whole lot more advocacy about the importance of creativity. Our children are born with imagination. There isn't a child on the planet that is born without it. If you feed them creativity regularly, you will get a child who is much more innovative as an adult. Maybe an innovative cook or gardener, or maybe the next Zuckerberg. I don't know, but you need it.
Thank you. Yes, I agree with everything you've just said. Bonnie, I want you to mention quickly when the Children's Ball is.
Oh, May 10th.
May 10th is the Children's Ball.
Yes.
Please attend. I went with my daughter and it was wonderful. But we thank you for having joined us today for Behind the Curtains. For more information about Imagination Stage, please visit them at www.imaginationstage.org. They also can be reached at Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. This concludes our program for today. I'm Lori Edberg, and it's been a pleasure hosting you. Thank you.